all those stats, Paulo, because you know how I judge the size of a map? Is by how large are the Vespian gas geyser squares on my mini-map. The larger they are, the smaller the map. That's my metric for how large a map is. But okay, guys. We're going to be starting down here in the bottom right-hand corner of the map on top of that ever-so-blue Team Liquid player, Liquid's MaNa.
And going unsurprisingly for an early pool opening into a really weird double gas cancel, it is Blythe for Raise Your Edge Gaming.
So,
oh wow.
Paulo, while this kicks off very, very quickly, I want to actually ask you, okay, well, with the pylon block attempt before MaNa realizes it is, in fact, just a super quick pool over here like you were talking about.
Oh no.
Protoss players have gotten in this
like supply blocked. Oh, this is done. This game is done.
Oh my god.
Yeah, his pool finished.
No.
His supply
no, Blythe.
The worst universe. He does have a hatchery on the other side of the map, so that's, you know, that's something.
That will eventually give him supply, Paulo.
Yeah. But yeah, he did that instead of an overlord, so.
Okay, well, yeah, that's a tough one. I'm pretty sure now, like, MaNa just has so much time that even with the double extractor trick cancel to get out these couple of early Zerglings, there's just no way that you can get out enough to actually do a whole lot with the hatchery immediately, right?
Yeah, it's a really strange opening, which you might expect out of this too, but the cool thing about this hatchery is it makes it so that only one unit at a time can attack it.
Wait, Paulo, I have a question. This is like an intricate StarCraft question. Is the larva going to pop out between the gateway and the cyber core?
No, I think it'll pop to the left of it. Or... oh, what?
Okay, it's not going to matter, I guess.
Yeah, that is the weirdest cancel because now he's just dead, right? Like, okay, so like if he let that hatchery go up, one thing that I like to do when I find a position like Blythe just found is take some drones across the map and make spines behind the hatchery and maybe go for a break with that. Because now I don't know how he comes back. I think he's just straight up dead. And you know, like the cool thing about the hatchery was that it basically made it so that only one unit at a time could attack, which, you know, makes it so that the hatchery would definitely go up, spines would definitely go up. So Blythe's gonna try for a hatchery inside of MaNa's base. MaNa did invest into two zealots, which is not nothing, but yeah, you gotta love his position right now, Ravi.
Yeah, he should know that drone survived. Like, he actively saw that the drone made its way forward. He used his probe to like attack move it for a second and then pulled it back. Surely he knows that drone survived and has gotta be in his main base doing something, right? He like, this has just gotta be the reaction that he just doesn't care because he's like, well, I'm just gonna kill you before it matters, right?
Yeah, something like that. He sees only 4 links trailing his adepts. Oh, but these links are actually gonna get inside, so MaNa's gonna have to recall. Okay. Now this recall might actually be a blessing in disguise for him though, because now these adepts are here and ready to potentially deal with that hatchery. And Robo, I don't know that he knows about the hatchery, Ravi, but Robo is fantastic. It's really good to have against proxy hatcheries.
Yeah, his pylon's also far enough back that I think he's not as in as much danger of just having like the pylon immediately taken out and losing the power. But going for a Dark Shrine, okay, this is turning into a weird one, Paulo, because I feel like the hatchery, if it's able to get out a lot of these lings, if Blythe is able to put on a lot of pressure, now Blythe is under a timing window where he has to do something before that Dark Shrine finishes. But that also means that MaNa just has less to actually react with for a bit.
Exactly. Now this Robo is probably going to be made for something. Was probably going to be made for something like a War Prism for the Dark Templars more than anything else. But now, you know, you have a Robo that doesn't really do much against Zerglings. I mean, Immortals are not great against Zerglings. And you have a Dark Shrine, which is, you know, not going to come into play for a little bit here. So there's a little bit of a timing window for Blythe potentially, but he really needs to make use of it. Right now, the links are on the other side of the map dealing with the Adepts. They're finally going to take him down. And these links inside the main, they're just not going to do enough. I mean, with these shield batteries coming up, very difficult to find damage.
Yeah, it's worth noting that there's one gas gather that's basically not being mined from for a lot of this time for MaNa just because of these Zerglings being annoying. So the gas count for MaNa is actually not that high right now. He only is going to have enough to warp in one DT Might have enough for a second one soon, but it's a defensive DT as well. There's maybe a little bit more time for Bly to at least react to that.
Yeah, I mean, Bly really should be doing something. He stopped attacking the gateway with the Zerglings when he saw that, you know, that he wasn't going to kill them in time, or that there was an Adept protecting it or something. But, I mean, it's not like you can pull back and do and macro out of this. I mean, he's trying. He's making a Spore and he's making a Lair. But this is just, I mean, this is just a little bit painful. Nothing has worked at all for Bly, and he has looked for no commitment off of any of it. It's just like he's cut his losses each and every single time. And he's just falling further and further behind, and I have no idea how he can win from here.
Yeah, I think this is starting to hit that point of no return. MaNa is just the kind of player, he is at that X level of class where he is not going to allow these kind of leads to fall through easily. Like, Bly is at the point where he needs MaNa to make a mistake that Bly can capitalize on. And I just don't know that MaNa in this situation is really going to give him that opportunity. He'd really have to mess up from here.
Exactly. I mean, and he did mess up a couple of times, because he didn't scout that proxy hatch until it went completely up. Yeah. But I think Bly was maybe expecting for MaNa to be aware of it or something, because
he wins this
really
fight.
Zerglings off of a proxy hatch where you don't have a queen are very difficult to make. Where we're watching the beginning of the end, as Stasis would call it. Yeah, I'm not sure that there's much commentary. Go, you try it, Abby.
Yeah, let me tell you something, Kat. Literally just the DTs and that Immortal, we're going to win that initial fight. Well, the Roach is popping on out. This is going to get a little bit dicier, but at the end of the day, the Immortal still does so much damage. The Adept going to deny all mining in the main, and another Warpin. Yeah, that's just going to be way too much. If MaNa lost every single unit here, Paulo, I'd still say he was ahead.
Oh, for sure. This is a poke by him. I mean, this is, you know, how many gateways does he really have to work with? Like 3, 4, 4?
Yeah, 4 gateways.
It's not at all a huge commitment.
Drone's being pulled off the line. Bly is a bit infamous for trying his best until the very bitter end in his games. So he's going to try and maybe buy himself a bit of time to think about how he wants to approach game number 2 after game number 1, like you said, Paulo. Really not working out for him.
Yeah, I do want to say I have been surprised by Bly before, where, you know, like where I'm calling him dead and then he comes back. But yeah, this one's a little bit way too far gone, and Bly is gonna have to leave the game. Yeah, there's nothing else to do there, Ravi.
Yeah, kind of shaking his head, putting his hand over his mouth, thinking about, all right, what do we do from here? Because yeah, MaNa is just super ready. But remember, we rewind that game all the way back to the intros. I started asking other questions that were unrelated, Cats, because the supply block is where we backtrack all of this game to, basically, where Bly opens up with an early pool opening, gets supply blocks, gets flustered because he has this proxy hatch, ends up making decisions like he cancels the proxy hatch. It's a hard call to make, and it all goes back to just like a mistake made before your opponent even gets involved.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what that first hatchery was supposed to accomplish. It's almost like he dropped it, and I'm not sure that he ever had a plan for it, because, I mean, he canceled it. It wasn't gonna die. It wasn't at any threat, right? And it was doing what he wanted to do, it seemed. So it was kind of confusing. I think that Bly maybe wanted that hatchery on the low ground, and MaNa blocking it kind of just made everything difficult for him. But yeah, I mean, that was such a rough game. And then the hatchery inside of MaNa's base, MaNa doesn't scout it, but Bly didn't really try to capitalize. Like, again, the larva inside a base is so bad to spend on Zerglings, whereas if you get roaches, you basically have double the value of the army inside your opponent's base for the same larva cost, right? Because you can spend twice as much resources on roaches. So yeah, really surprised that none of his plans seemed to go anywhere, basically, more than anything else.
Yeah, I'll say one thing, Cats. That game really made me rethink certain mechanics about StarCraft and how it affect the game, because you'll probably have a better idea of this. When a queen pops out, it will always pop out on the south side of the hatchery, right?
Correct.
So,
or is it to the? I will know if I see a hatchery. I'll tell you where it'll pop.
Yeah. Okay. But I think, like, I was thinking, like, the larva always pops out on the south side of the hatchery. And the south side of the hatchery, like, for that proxy that was part of the wall, if you let that finish up, I was thinking, like, okay, what if he tries to go for that spine crawler rush and everything? Well, all the creep comes from the hatchery. So he actually does have to keep the hatchery alive unless he gets out a creep tumor or something. I was like, okay, so I guess you make a queen to get up the creep tumor because the hatchery is so vulnerable at the front, right? Like that's the only thing the Protoss player can actually even attack. So if that hatchery goes down,
you could make a.
Yeah.
Oh, go on.
I was gonna say like the queen would have to get out a creep tumor, but the queen would be walled in between the hatchery, the gateway, and the cyber core if it popped out on the south.
Oh no, I think it would have popped
too.
up to the left. I think the queen would pop out to the left over there. Yeah, but also, I think that that it doesn't matter if you make a queen or not if you're going for something like the spine crawlers. Though that is not something that I've seen anyone really do.
Yeah.
But I think when you go for the spine crawlers, what you're looking for would be to kill the wall essentially, right? Like so that your links can flood in. So you don't really need creep for that. Like if the creep dies, then that's fine.
Yeah, that's true. I guess it's not as important to have it for the long term. It's just about busting it on the wall. That's true. All right. Well, we're going to hop into game number 2. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be starting down over here on the bottom right-hand side of the map on top of the blue Zerg player from Razor Edge Gaming. He is Bly.
Top left-hand side, leading comfortably 1-0. It is Liquid's MaNa. Back to short rifts.
Yeah, back to short rifts. Also want to note, Bly, he sent his drone past the natural for a moment, and I was like, this is going to be the proxy drone, right? And instead of just pulling it back, I'm actually not sure. What is this drone looking for? Because he had it at the front, and he had it on a patrol at that ramp, as though he was looking for something.
No, what he was doing was waiting for the probe to move up the ramp. So when he thought that the probe was going to move up his ramp, he just wanted to like this. Like now is when he would want to be dropping that hatchery. So he was just trying to be sneaky, and he had the Overlord to aid himself. So yeah, a little bit disappointing, I'm sure, for him.
Yeah, a bit unfortunate. I think MaNa actually saw the drone moving out with his probe, so maybe tips him off a little bit that was going to be attempted, but regardless, gets his hatchery down at the third base, so can have a slightly longer drone transfer and everything. But behind this, we're actually going to get a more normal looking opening for the most part. This is going to be, a Protoss player that actually gets up their natural in a reasonable way, has the proper wall. Zerg player can get up there, presumably third eventually.
Yeah, but this is already awkward for Bly because he is so very used to, say, making the game weird by now. This is a strangely normal game where MaNa actually has kind of the edge by proxy of just being able to block that hatchery on the low ground from Bly, and Bly going for a pull first regardless. So this is a pull first that gets his hatchery in the natural denied anyway, and it's just rough.
Yeah. I'm definitely with you there. I think the more normal looking a game looks, the more MaNa is going to be favored. I do think that one thing, I feel like sometimes we oversell it on Bly, because I feel like Bly is not quite like Haas or something, where if you watch Haas, you're like, okay, there's an 80 to 90% chance he's going to do something strange. And there's like that 10% of games that he does something a bit more normal. I feel like Bly, he is usually on the stranger side, but I feel like it's maybe like 30 to 40%. Maybe like 35% of his games are actually kind of normal-ish. So,
yeah, and he can definitely hang in the late game. I mean, he's definitely evolved as a player. He definitely has really cool moves with tight tier tech units. Oh, nice snipe.
Ooh, yeah.
But so yeah, I'm with you there. It's not like Bly is completely incapable, but I would still favor MaNa a little bit, and I still think just the opener, like the way it works, he's a little bit behind, not taking that natural base as he would have liked.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you on that. We do have a Void Ray going to be coming out first over here for MaNa. A lot of those Protoss players are like, well, it's a speedy boy now that also hits ground. This seems better than a Phoenix and taking out Overlords and still getting value afterwards. Nice safety precaution as well against like Ravager attacks or Bane Bust and those kind of early pre-layer all-ins. But the Depths maybe finding opportunity over here. No, they're just going to end up recalling on out.
Yeah, only getting one drone. And yeah, I completely agree with everything you were saying there. The Void Ray is just such a cool unit to start off with. It's going to clear the path for the Oracle as well. So MaNa has to anticipate, or Bly has to anticipate that there is an Oracle. He's going to now check it, but he was already making spores, right? So the Void Ray in itself can even force spores also. Oh
no. Well, that's not ideal. The Adept's gonna recall back, right? Where are they?
Well, one of them I think got killed. I'm not sure if is there another one out
they're
there?
at the
Yeah, there's
third.
two Adepts actually.
Yeah, I think they both barely managed to make their way out, but yeah, they're just sitting over by the third, and I guess he was a little afraid that there would be more Lings coming into the third base, so this is already a substantial amount of annoyance and damage. Now, MaNa's going to try and micro his Oracle and Void Ray at the same time that he micros against these Lings on the other side of the map, so he kills off one Queen, going after another, but the Void Ray is not quite adding in that damage, so Oracle takes a lot, and I think that he might get one more Queen over here, but after that he has to back off. And he's lost 7 workers, 8 workers.
Yeah, but at the same time, Bly got reset down to 1 Queen. Now another one spawning. Actually, another 2 spawning. So this kind of works out well for Bly. I think this was kind of the punchback that he was really in desperate need of, as he has killed 8 workers.
Oh, gets the Adept as well. Void Ray now down to less than half of its hit points. And Bly's finally going to be able to start up that lair and start thinking about the later stages with what I would say is probably a nice little economic situation here. But MaNa's going to be busting out 3 probes at a time. And Bly, he's adding on a few of his overlords now. He's going to have that with, I presume, a big drone
again.
point. But oh my god,
Another
not
one.
again!
Another one. This is huge. I mean, these 2 Rambites have really put Bly in a pretty good position. 5 workers go down. A lot of mining time lost. Make it 9, 10. Wow, this is already a hefty chunk of damage from Bly.
That almost feels game ending, right? Like that's a really tough spot to come back from, because I feel like Bly is he's gonna have to take a lot of damage to some attack or something from MaNa, or he's gonna have to basically run headfirst into a hard wall for MaNa for this to actually work out for MaNa.
Yeah, but MaNa was so greedy
God.
at the same time. Wow, this Celote
Hold
fired
position
him.
okay, it's hold position now. It's hold position.
Oh man,
That's
maybe
why
this
it's not
other
chasing.
Celote is also hold position. This is
Oh,
the
no.
problem because the pros are still falling. Oh no. All right, so yeah, I mean, MaNa did get a hatchery cancel for the 4th of Bly, and it was a greedy 4th with the Ridge Vesting Geyser there, but this is all that it comes down to. It's the Nidus right now, Ravi. MaNa is not going to spot it until a little bit too late. I'm not sure that he has enough units to take care of this. Everyone, it's all hands on deck as the Adepts are pulling back from the 3rd as the Void Ray is coming, and beautiful feedbacks though.
Yeah, gonna prevent most of the transfuses. I think there's 1 Queen that's gonna have a transfuse soon. Another nice one gonna try and come down to the 3rd. The Oracle runs on in a little too early. I think it's trying to go after the Nidus. Not gonna be able to get it. And this is just so many roaches. Even with the Immortal popping on out, I'm not sure this is gonna be enough for MaNa to hold.
Yeah, unfortunately for MaNa, that shield battery should have been the first thing to go down. It instead just went down a little bit late. I'm not sure if it's going to kick in. But with that shield battery overcharged, he might have been able to hold position there with the Void Ray and kind of deal with most things that threaten his mineral line. As it stands, he's still buying time or trying to, though Bly is doing a really good job of nidusing at his other bases as well to make sure that somewhere or wherever the army of MaNa is not, he can continue to do damage.
Yeah, exactly. Like right now, Bly is in the main base of MaNa saying, okay, I'll continue because you can't actually defend this just yet. The moment MaNa looked like he was going to be able to actually hold his main base, Bly would evacuate his entire army to the 3rd, and MaNa would just be completely out of position to actually defend it. So he would have lost even more over there. I like that MaNa at least has retreated most of his workers away, but now we have the GG going to be coming on out. Bly does a little too much damage and actually ties up the series there 1-1.
Yeah, he's got to be a little bit happy about that one. I mean, those Celotes fire them. You know, they're really not on hold position like they should be at the entrance there. Twice, 3 times?
3 times, I think. 3 times, yeah. Well, that is definitely a rough one. But ladies and gentlemen, we're going to give both these players a little bit of time before they move into game number 3. We're going to head to a short break and be back with more DreamHack SC2 Masters. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're moving into game number 3 here between Bly and MaNa, and this series is pretty much in some ways what we expected, but that last game, probably not what MaNa was expecting, and a couple of those hold position mistakes really costing him a lot.
Yes, indeed. That was pretty crazy. I'm still thinking about how I left you hanging last time. Ravi asked me before the break, should I bring us in or do you want to bring us in, Cats? And I said,
and
yes.
You said yes. And I was like, what does that mean? What does that mean? And you just responded with yes again. And I'm like, okay, I guess he wants to bring us in. And then it's just utter silence. Oh, God.
And then this time around, Ravi was just like, I'll bring us in, Cats. I was like, okay, Ravi.
That's a pet peeve of mine, man. That's a pet peeve when I ask like A or B and people are like, yes. Like, no, that's not a valid answer. That's not a valid response.
I'm just messing with you, man.
I know.
We are in the game now.
You know what? This is not like our good old W6 Challenger days and stuff. It's not 4 in the morning. It's a beautiful 10 in the morning for me. I'm happy. I'm in a good mood. I can hang with it. And we're going to be starting up here on top of one of my favorite Protoss players, the blue Protoss from Team Liquid. He is Liquid's MaNa.
From the Ukraine and playing from Raise Your Edge Gaming. It is the Red Circ player, Bly! Wow. No question who's going to win this one now.
Definitely something up in the air, I would say, at this point. And we do have, of course, Drew moving across the map, getting ready for that hatchery block. And MaNa is very easily going to be able to scout that, unlike the hatchery that went up in his main base last game.
Oh, yeah. This is just a block to deny, to delay things, and I love this from Bly. Oh, this is an overreaction from MaNa, in my opinion. This is something that I'll talk about now because I feel like I've proxy hatched enough, and I never did give these tips away in the past because then I feel like everyone would just counter them. But, you know, like, I think that if you just do like 5 probes, then that's pretty great. And anything else is overkill. Because like more than 5 probes will sure like make it so that the hatchery doesn't go up at all. But if you just do like 5 probes and then like bring in your cellar at a timely fashion, or even just do 5 probes from the start, or something like 4 probes on a cellar or 3 probes on a cellar even, what happens is the Circ player has to decide whether they want to cancel that hatchery or not by the time it's about to finish, which is so much more annoying. So you don't need maximum damage output, essentially. Now, as it stands, MaNa's wasting a lot of mining time here. And he also made a forge. But he's
not a
using...
full wall! MaNa, no! Oh no! Okay, he's gonna get down that. He needs to get that purple line.
The probe can't drop any more cannons though. Like he can wall it, and that
with a gateway, he could wall in the drones, and they'd be trapped there against the cannon, so guaranteed 3 drone kills.
Yeah, you're right. That would have been the best move, actually, Ravi, walling them off with a gateway, because those drones are not actually gonna be able to kill the cannon, but they're gonna be able to do enough. I'm surprised actually that Bly is gonna forfeit this position. It might have cost him like 4 drones or something of the sort, but he would eventually kill the cannon instead. I actually like this better though. Look at the creep on this map. It's already there, so he doesn't need a creep tumor or anything. Just this spine crawler can deal with this from the high ground at minimal loss. So
yeah, no, I think you're right. I think the spine crawler should be fine against that single cannon, because the cannon won't actually be able to kill the hatchery. Like, that's not gonna happen. But so I think the 3 drone kills would have been really nice, and you can probably cancel the gateway before that actually even finishes there. But regardless, that's like an extra little icing on the cake that would have been nice. This is gonna be a bit costly because that's 150 resources for the cannon, 200 resources for the pylons. Like it really killed like 1 drone.
Yeah, there's also the forge to account for, and the fact that he was, well, I guess he was he was Nexus blocked this entire time, so at least he didn't have to deal with, like he didn't have to decide between a Nexus and this. So, but yeah, in the end, I really like Bly's position. That forge is also gonna mean that, MaNa can't really transition so easily into higher tech very fast. Those gases are delayed. So Bly has a lot of time to work with if he wants to just make drones for like 3 minutes or something.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't sound very much like Bly, but I agree if he decides to. That is absolutely an option available.
He should.
Yeah.
Bly is a smart man. I think we're going to see him try to get away with crazy amounts of drones. However, MaNa, risky, out on the map with 2 adepts. Bly is going to spot it with his Hurricans and going to pull back to clean them out. The spine is actually going to help a great deal.
Yeah, I think the Shade got out early enough that, he wasn't going to be able to just kill the adepts quickly enough that the Lings would be able to jump on them. But I think that MaNa might still be able to make it out of here alive with 1 of the adepts. Yeah, both of them.
Yeah, both of them for now. Yeah, you're absolutely right. If the shade was a little bit later or something like that, Bly could have just gone for the adepts. But because the shade was going out, then Bly decides he needs to protect his mineral line first, which was the right call. Then a little bit hesitant to engage the adepts out on the open, in spite of his spine crawler that he has forward. But maybe he's not used to having that spine crawler forward, because those adepts couldn't shade back into his base. So the right call after from Bly was just to engage those adepts, because they always had to shade back at that point.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna have a fun situation where Bly has actually been making mostly drones for the most part, and he's gonna be adding on a lot more drones. So his 3rd base should get up more or less uncontested. The Void Ray is about to pop out, and that's like the nail in the coffin for these Lings, being able to get too much done unless the Zealot is on a whole position again. But I think that MaNa should be feeling okay about the fact that he'll at least get to the next stage of the game. And I think as the game goes on, like the small differences of the timing and the tech coming out, because we went for the forge instead, I feel like it's not as big of a deal. It's not like MaNa was losing a bunch of probes or having to cut a ton to get that cannon up, right?
Well, it's definitely a little bit of an investment because he was getting the forge instead of getting gases, for example. Yeah. So it's more the gas that's the restricting factor. He's going for a double Stargate now. But yeah, I don't think MaNa's in a terrible position just off of the fact that he expanded so quickly and kind of riskily. So he also assessed that Bly should be making drones for a little while and kind of just expanded off of 2 adepts, right? Like kind of risky, but it works out pretty well.
Yeah, and this is going to get into, I feel like, a situation where MaNa can kind of sit back and say, like, okay, if I can get up to the 3 Stargates and I can get up like 5 or 6 Void Rays, unless you kill me like really soon with the big Hydra attack or something, like, and this is really, really nice, actually killing 5, maybe like 6 or 7 workers over here. This is really nice adept damage. Oh my god. And the Void Rays at the 3rd, there's no Queens here right now.
Yeah, they actually take down the spine. So that tells me, I don't know if MaNa was actually actively looking at the Void Race, because you know, drones or an Overlord might have been better to kill than the spine. But if he goes for the spine on purpose, then that might speak to what he wants to do later. At the same time, however, Bly has gotten inside of MaNa's base. I don't think much was lost other than mining time.
Yeah, well, I guess he at least confirms exactly how many Stargates are pumping out those Void Rays right now. And I guess the lack of gateways that are still out right now, because you were talking about, you know, potential follow-up over here of taking out the spine and maybe an investment further into more gateway units. But yeah, that's going to be coming a little bit later on with the Twilight Council being added. But yeah, these Void Rays, I feel like it is just a hard shutdown on any kind of aggression from Bly until big numbers of Hydras come out. So MaNa kind of has control of the map until those Hydras really start feeling comfortable moving across the map.
Yeah, that's exactly the thing. What MaNa's gonna want to do and kind of have to do to some degree is to bring the Void Rays over to Bly's side of the map and try to snipe off the fourth, or even try to sneak into the main and sneak and you know, kill the main before the queens can come in, or any of these bases. He basically wants to have this Void Ray somewhat as a hit squad. Now Bly seems somewhat aware of this, and actually he's preparing for a big attack launched as he's moving his queens across the map. So I really like this from Bly. And one thing that I would have loved from MaNa was a quicker transition. He is getting a Twilight or a Templar Archives, but Storm is not going to be done anytime soon. I mean, the Templar Archives isn't done, so it's going to be very difficult to hold this with just Void Rays, I think.
Yeah, really unfortunate too, because MaNa actually had 2 Adepts making their way across the map, but they barely missed all of the Queens and the Hydras, so he's going to actually just find this with his Void Rays basically right at his front door. So even those extra couple of seconds could have helped allow those shield batteries to be finished in time for this attack. High Templar's out. Can go for the feedback on some of these Queens.
Yeah, I think MaNa at that point is just showing the High Templar so that Bly respects it more than anything else. But now using the feedback, I mean, Bly's going to be well aware that there's no Storm on the way and he can clump as much as he wants. And he should clump to try and deal with this Void Rays one at a time as quickly as possible with this Hydralisks. Where is the battery overcharge? There it is, finally from MaNa. So Bly could retreat even if he wants to. It's a little bit sketchy that he's moving on forward, but he still has the DPS Rabbit to kill some Void Rays.
Yeah, they had to kill 2 of them, but remember that the DPS is decreasing very quickly there for Bly. So he doesn't have the DPS anymore. He loses all of the Queens, lost a lot of Hydras as well. And MaNa's been safely mining at his 3rd base during all of this. He kept a lot of his probes alive, and I actually feel like, yeah, he's done a great job of holding that first round.
Yeah, one thing about Void Rays is they're kind of slow to move across bases as well. So I would have liked for Bly to maybe threaten the 3rd and force those Void Rays out of position, where in the middle between those 2 fortified shield batteries positions, that's where it's easiest for Bly to fight those Void Rays. So I think he should be baiting them a little bit more, but he thinks he has enough to break through MaNa, and he might just be right here.
Yeah, now that the gateway wall-in is down, it is so much harder for those Void Rays to just abuse the fact that they're air units against ground units, that they can clump up and run away, whereas the Hydras have to close the gap. But now that the gap has been closed, even with the Photon Battery overcharge, this just really looks tough, and I like that move from Bly. Focus fires down that Photon Battery overcharge that was healing up these Void Rays, and it's going to force out that GG. Bly takes the series 2-1 there.
Yeah, racing is there.